Hi everyone, so we are going to solve a SQL problem of user shopping spree. This is available on datalemure. Okay, so let's read this. In effort to identify high value customers, Amazon asked for your help to obtain data about users who go on a shopping spree. A shopping spree occurs when a user makes a purchase on three or more consecutive days. List the user IDs who have gone on at least one shopping spree. So the transaction table is given, which contain user ID, amount, and transaction date. So amount is not required. I think this is not a relevant column. So basically, we are going to use user ID and transaction date. It looks fairly easy question. So basically we have to just identify user IDs which are having at least three consecutive dates. That's the way to put it, right? Three or more consecutive dates. Yeah, if you can identify three, which means at least three. Okay. Yeah, so good. Okay, so we're going to use so difference between two consecutive dates. Right, so difference first date, second date minus first date, and third date minus second date. So yeah, so that way. So we have to put another column which will be lagging by one, right? So basically, we have to do is that and group by user ID for each user ID because it has to yeah. So we can use Windows function. Let's just do that. Lag of transaction date. We need lag of 1, so we can keep it just default over partition by user ID. That's it. Let's stock little lagged date. So basically for each user ID, for example, for this one, we've got all we have to do is just take the difference. So basically now we can't take the difference here in this one. So either we have to take a subquery or just write it as CT with CT as that should be okay. Or maybe we can just do this difference here only. Transaction date minus. This will give us the difference between two consecutive dates. It says syntax error. Be the reason. Okay, let's see if it works. Yeah, this seems to be working. Yeah, so we got the lagged date, which is a difference between two consecutive dates, for example. This is what we need. Also, there are nulls at the first occurrence. For each user ID's first occurrence will be null, so we need to put one there, because if the spree start from there, for example in this case it is a spree, but it will not be like spree. In order to identify it as a spree, we have to put one here also, so we can replace null by a 1. So how to do that? Okay, so first let's get the CT work. CT. Yeah, this seems to be working. We have to extract the dates from here, so we can just do the extraction part here only. Extract. T from. Hopefully this should work. Yeah, so we got this in a number format instead of difference, and we have to just fill this with. Okay, so let's do that case where lag date is null, then one else lag date. So it will replace the nulls by a 1, so that we will be able to identify the sprees. Yeah, so it has to be integer also. We have to just take this user ID, transaction date. Yep, so that's all we need. We have to just now identify which are 3 consecutive ones. That's it. Now put this as another CT with CT2 as yeah. So let's start from CT2. This should be okay. But we don't need this width here, sorry. Yeah, that's it. And now we have to just take a running sum of 3 over partition by user ID. So that will like, okay, so let's do that. Sum of, let's user ID, sum of lag date over partition by user ID. Okay, yeah, partition by user ID ordered by transaction date, and we want the sum of only last 3, right? Current row and the last 2 ones. Okay, so we will use this rows between 2 preceding and current row. I have to check the syntax if it is correct. Yeah, order by transaction. That's it. So it will actually give us a running sum. Let's see what does it return. Yes, so that's all actually. User ID and so basically everywhere there is a spree. For each user ID there will be a value 3 because it will sum up to 3, right? For example, see, okay, so let's just take this also, lagged. Yeah, now see, for example, for user 2 where there is a spree, so basically it is 111, so it appears 3. So all you have to just filter out all the values where there are 3s, right? So where, let's rename is spree spree count. All we have to just filter out where spree count is 3, and that's it. We can't do that because we have to create another CT here now. So let's just do that CTE3, because if we filter, then the actually this operation happens at the very end, so we can't filter before that. So CTE3 as so now select user ID, spree count from CTE3 where spree count is 3. That should return the values, right? Yep. So we want only the user IDs, and that's it. Yep. So this should work. Let's see. There's one more problem. Yeah, it seems to be working, but there's one problem, because if spree is longer than 3, let's say if the spree happened up to 6 days, then this will appear twice. So basically, we are looking at only distinct user ID. In this case, this is not a problem, but it can be. Yeah. Okay. So let's just make it slightly cleaner. So this seems to be working. So basically, first what we are doing is basically taking the difference between the current transaction rate and there is one lagged. So that's it. It's just returning difference of the next row and the current row for each user ID. Of course, we are not going to mix among user IDs. So this will be considered as one partition table, and this will be considered as one partition table. So the difference between the next row and the current row will be restarted after every unique user ID, right? So that's why we are doing partition by user ID. And the problem is that the first occurrence doesn't have any difference, so that there will be null. For that, we are just using this case statement to sort of do this. Just make it slightly cleaner. Yep. So basically, now we have replaced this value by a 1. So now, if there is a spree, then 1 will appear 3 times minimum. Even if it is happening more than 1, but we need only 3 times, right? Yeah, so that should be okay. So that's where we are actually doing a running sum between current row and the 2 last rows. Basically, so let's say we're looking at this one. So basically, the current row and the last 2 rows sum up to, although this is user ID, but just to explain. So if there are 3 consecutive ones are happening, that will be considered for each user ID. That will be considered as a spree. So that's actually that's what we're able to get here. So let's yeah. So that's it. I think we can simplify this one. We don't need there's a function called we don't need to replace this separately. So there's a function called collage. I'm not sure. So that function, we could just replace this null thing here only. So now we are replacing null by 1 as lagged date. Yeah, so this will go away. I think the whole CT2 is basically doing nothing but replacing. Yeah, so that actually might not be needed. Lag date. What happened to CT and CT2? So basically, collage does nothing but everywhere there will be null, it will replace by 1. Let's see if it works. Oh, there's some problem. Okay, this should be CT2, not CT3. gt3 we have, yeah, so this seems to be working. We have got done away with one common table expression because that was just doing nothing but replacing null by a 1. Yep, so this is it, I guess.